appreciate what MLP does for pickleball.
Yep.
And just like what my wife had just mentioned, glad that we're all back together. We're all one happy family. That's what the fans want. Everybody wins. Yes, some players are a little upset about signing too early, stuff like that. My whole view on that, my whole vision is that I think we're all in a much better place now than how we were previously. Guaranteed goes through 2026 versus 2024.
Yeah, I think all in all, it doesn't matter who you are, what you got. I think at the end of the day, we all have to step back and say, that's money in our pockets that would have never come for any other reason. So if players are smart, they're going to utilize some of this to start building their brands and capitalizing for the future. And I think regardless of the amount that you got, it's going to be plenty to do that.
What's going on? My name is Tyson McGuffin. Welcome to the McGuffin Show. We've been away here for about 4 weeks. Let's see. Went to Cincinnati, Orlando, Auburn, Alabama, ATL, MLP. Throughout the first pitch for the Mariners, and then went to Vegas. But here we are. Glad to be home.
Gosh.
Off for a couple weeks. A lot has happened in the last month. Banks turned 3. Mac turned 2. Mac is not sitting on Meg's lap anymore as we're flying. He's officially in his own seat.
Blessing and a curse.
Actually, for the first time ever, we had 1A through 1D. Kind of crazy, but yeah, both kids are officially in their own seats. I wouldn't dare fly next to Mac. I'd let my wife do that. I fly next to Bankies because she's much easier. Likes to watch her show, put her headphones on, isn't jumping around, loves her snacks.
What you mean to say is you can sleep while Banks is next to you. You cannot sleep with Mac next to you. It's a full-on 24. Like, I can't even return emails or check messages. I have to just focus on Mac. Except for the last flight. Yeah, the 1A through D, I mean,
well, his
he
second
behaved.
time flying in his own seat, he actually stayed in his own seat, wasn't throwing his paddle, wasn't throwing his water. Actually, his first time flying in his own seat, he didn't sit in his own seat. He actually sat in my wife's lap the whole time, and he was screaming, crying, pissed off, threw his paddle backwards.
No more paddle on flights.
Right, and somebody may have caught that paddle. The funny thing is that after we threw out this first pitch, the Seattle Metro Pickleball Association, for the event, had a bunch of my paddles all shaped into these little fingers.
Foam fingers. It was so cool.
Right, and so people were like waving the fingers around during the game and stuff. So anyhow, we ended up getting a bunch of these foam fingers. So now Mac, when he's flying, he just to keep it safe, he actually has a foam finger. That way he can't hit anybody.
It's all good.
But the guy's a maniac, Macco. But yeah, and he's both kids are in preschool now, even though they haven't gone for the last month.
Yeah, it's so funny. The school just loves them. It's so sweet that they're like willing to let them miss school and stuff. And so I was texting last night, we're finally home, and the kids will actually be home all the way until the 30th. We won't be home that whole time, but what's today? The 10th? So the 10th. So they get 20 days that they'll be in school. So, and so it'll be good.
But yeah, I got home last night. The kids are back in school today. And what do you have going on today, Mama?
Oh my gosh.
She forgot about the podcast.
I did. So I'm freshly showered.
She's laying her ass in bed at 8:30, 8:35. I'm like, sweetheart, we have a podcast at 9. She's like, oh shoot.
Jumped in the shower really fast. No, I don't know. I guess there wasn't a time difference, but I woke up, was checking emails, was trying to catch up on everything. Every time we come home, that's the big thing, right? Like, it's just like a quick rush to I've got this many days to try to catch up everything at the house and everything with like all of our partners and stuff as we're home, get a bunch of meetings done, and then we're off again. So, but luckily this time we're home until Tuesday. Home until Tuesday. So yeah, just catching up on stuff with all our brand partners, a bunch of meetings, phone meetings, and plan out the rest of this year. And hopefully this week we'll get a schedule from PPA and MLP for next year.
Yeah, we're hoping to get the camp schedule put together. So for all the campers that are looking to take a camp come 2024, looks like we're going to be staying partnered up with PPA. It sounds like we're going to be doing camps for MLP as well, which is super fun. I think we'll probably keep that same format. The format seems like it's very successful, running camps on the Monday, Tuesday after a PPA event or after an MLP event. So we'll have Kyle leading camps next year. I'll be doing a couple camps as well, and I'm actually searching for another lead just to kind of open things up and do some more camps next year, take some load off of K-Mac's plate. As we all know, K-Mac is getting more and more busy these days, and the guy's a shining star. Tell you what, though, semifinals MLP, Miami playing DC Pickleball Club, K-Mac's coaching DC Pickleball Club. First time ever I had to play my man, to a certain degree. Obviously, he wasn't on court, but he's on the sideline, knows my game very well. But come 2024, that man will be in my corner. So, but more than happy for him. So if anybody that doesn't know, Kyle, he's doing MLP. He's coaching the DC Pickleball Club for MLP. It sounds like he's going to be commentating for MLP as well. And he's leading camps for me. And also, too, next year, he will be in my corner for about half of the PPA events. Anyhow, that man is doing very well. Happy for him. Yeah. Talk about a guy who is freaking busy. He's been on the road grinding, doing camps for the last month or so.
No, I know. No, for sure. I mean, how many different things is he doing? On top of teaching, he's coaching. He's even doing some private stuff. I mean, he's just all over the map. But
why he hasn't been on the podcast the last couple of times is because usually after PPA events on the Monday, Tuesday, he's teaching a camp, and today is Tuesday. So we are going to try to start scheduling pods around his crazy schedule.
Yeah.
But easier said than done.
Miss having K-Mac on the pod.
No, for sure. But this morning woke up, got in my sauna, jumped in my plunge, got my morning going right. Told my wife to get her ass going at 8:35, and happy to be back. So recapping, Cincinnati it was about 4 weeks ago, but we obviously haven't touched base in a long time here, so I'm just gonna go over Cincinnati briefly. But took bronze in singles, took bronze in men's. That was Jimmy and I's last time playing together for the year. I think Jimmy and I had 4 or 5 medals in a row. And Cincinnati was at the Linder Tennis Facility. That's where they host the Master 1000 Western and Southern Financial ATP tennis tournament. Beautiful venue. Obviously not as nice as Indian Wells Tennis Garden. Not as spread out and big, but very beautiful. Lots of space. And championship court was rocking. We had the same streaker that showed up the year before. Kind of funny. He showed up the year before during Ben and Collins' match. He showed up again this year during Ben and Collins' match. And who in the hell is that man? Okay, somebody put a gold medal around his neck.
Oh my goodness.
But it was in Mason, Ohio. Kind of a smaller suburb of Cincinnati. Super nice people. Beautiful area, green, lush.
Easy to get around.
Easy to get around. We had a beautiful home there. Our pickleball grandparents, Sue and Mac from Punta Gorda, Florida, who came to our wedding, who's been supportive of me since, 2016. Love me some Sue and Mac. Came out as well. They always love seeing our babies. They always love seeing us and supporting me. And
so they got to stay with us, which was so fun. They get to play the babies and come to the tournament and watch, and we still had our babysitters during the day, and so it was a nice mix, and it was nice to see them. I mean, they're like parents to us. So
no, for sure.
Love
we had Craig there as well. That was Craig's first time to Ohio. Craig this year, honestly, I think he's been to 5 or 6 new states.
Yeah.
Obviously, this last weekend we were in Vegas. Craig came out for that. And
it was his first time to Vegas.
First time to Vegas, and he was pumped to be in Vegas. and with those Louis Vuitton shades on, that man is meant for Vegas. Watch out. Let's see what else took place in Cincy. We ran a camp on that Monday, Tuesday. We had 64 campers. Had a bunch of pros fly in. Ran an awesome camp. That's my second year. They're running a camp in Cincinnati. Always a ton of support. It ended up raining on that second day, so we ended up going indoors. From what it sounds like Chicken and Pickle just opened up a new facility in Chandler, Arizona. Also, there's a few other facilities in Arizona around the Phoenix area that are indoors that just opened up as well. So it just seems like with that concept, there's plenty of demand. And obviously, Arizona summertime, when it's blistering hot and at 8 a.m. it's 110, nobody wants to go outside. So, I don't know about those facilities year round, but obviously 4 months out of the year when it's scorching hot in Phoenix. I believe they're building one in Vegas as well. anyhow, just those warmer climates in the summertime, definitely nice to have a covered structure like they do in the South. There's plenty of places in the South that have covered structures that aren't quite all indoors, or places like Chicken and Pickle, or the place there in Cincinnati called Aces. Definitely nice to go indoors, and there's plenty of demand for facilities like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a time, it was a little bit still transition, because at that point, I think there were players kind of sitting on both sides, and the merger hadn't quite taken place yet. I think we were all super hopeful at that point, but
Right. So
I know
so
it
the
was
week
a little bit quiet.
So the week before Kansas City, that was when the split took place. MLP went their separate direction. PPA, I think, was very surprised by that whole move. Some players signed contracts and had were kind of put on the spot to sign over 72 hours.
Yeah, Kansas City, things were really crazy. People were kind of flying around. So there was a lot of uncertainty rolling into Cincy. There was a lot of uncertainty, not for us. I mean, we knew for sure, like, we were still very much pro PPA, and we were going to do the rest of the year and out how we were, intended to do it. And we had no intention of doing anything different. I know some players were kind of kicking around the idea of going or not going. It all shook out. It seems like most everybody was there anyways. And for them, I shouldn't speak for everybody, but I know for us, like, we were still kind of hoping for the merger even then. And I think we had just covered the pod just before we left that was our sentiment, what we were hoping would happen, hopefully before the first of the year. So I think Cincy was just kind of quiet, but I think the nice part, in Cincinnati was just still being able to, be there, working with the PPA team. Everybody was super cordial. There was nothing, it was just quiet, I guess. And another thing too,
it was definitely a lot more awkward than that. I'll tell you what. It was a land of the unknown. Most of the MLP players that had signed, there wasn't a whole lot of communication with the PPA. Dylan, obviously, bless his heart, was stuck in this weird limbo of having to make it all work, being the player
liaison,
and having to play civil and be very supportive of both
all
sides,
sides,
right?
yeah.
And so I thought Dylan played a large part in that and did a very good job of doing that.
Yeah.
But as we all know, that tournament was more than awkward. And
yeah, tensions, I guess, were a little high in certain areas. And yeah, again, it was just kind of the land of the unknown. I know one of the things I noticed while we were there is they seemed to be really ramping up the vibe pickleball at that time. And then there was a big, question mark on were players going to go to MLP? Were the PPA signed players going to actually play MLP or not? So
Right.
I think that was the big question floating around. So those two things were definitely, I won't say still a distraction, but in a way, I think even though Kansas City players were absolutely distracted, I think in Cincinnati people were still
Right.
more than distracted.
well, I mean,
so.
MLP players that had signed obviously could care less about Cincinnati, and then PPA players were saying that they weren't going to play MLP Atlanta. Weird times.
Yeah, no, definitely
Weird
strange.
times. Luckily, that pro lounge in Cincinnati was
Massive.
very large, and so we weren't all like
Yeah.
congested and tight together like how we were in Kansas City when the whole split took place. So I think if there's one positive thing about that, we were at the Linder tennis facility. It was very spread out. Everybody was more than comfortable because there was lots of space.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And then moving on to Orlando. So after Cincinnati, wifey and I took the kids to Orlando. Miller Lite had a massive convention with 5,000 representatives, all from Molson Coors. And obviously Jesse is with Vizzy. Molson owns Vizzy, and Molson owns Miller as well. I'm with Miller. And anyhow, so kind of fun. They ended up setting up a court right in the middle of this convention center that was massive.
Pickle roll
Came in, set up a court right in the middle. One half was all decked out in Miller. The other half was decked out in Vizzy.
Yeah.
It had Jesse and I's name on it.
Had your signature.
Had our signature on there.
Cool.
Kind of fun. Anyhow, they totally took care of us. Food, beverage, it was all taken care of.
It was super fun. Their whole setup, it's a whole, at that point, it's like a convention, and there's booths or setups or activations all over this big, what would you call that? huge area. And so as you walk through, like every beverage that Molson Coors has had like an activation.
Right.
And so you could go and try every beverage. Right. And there was like rock music happening over here. And there was like snow cone or ice maker over here, and like food all over, and just everybody was social. And some people were still in suit and tie, and then the other people had dressed down a little bit. And so you could tell it was just like the culmination and the end of their big conference. And as everybody was walking around this convention center, it was really cool that like the spirit was upbeat. Everybody was having fun. You could tell just like their corporate, their corporate culture is just so cool. Like everybody was just so happy to be there. And then the court being set up, that was kind of fun because we didn't know, right? Like, is everybody going to want to play? I mean, are they really going to like come on the court?
They're all in suit and tie and boots and stuff. And so Jesse and I ended up having a line of, I don't know how many freaking people, but they just kept cycling through.
Yeah.
So
Jesse, it was slow at first for like a second. And then once people saw how fun it was. Yeah.
For sure. Once they got comfortable, then. Anyhow, so they would, we had a line of people. Jesse and I were mic'd up. There's a bunch of people watching. And we would cycle in 4 new people every 5 minutes, kind of teach them how to play, show them a couple tips. They're out there sliding around, like sweating in their, in their suit and tie. And this one guy left like his boot residue on the court. Ended
leather.
Up sliding. Yeah. And damn near like rolled his ankle, being a total wild man. But anyhow, Miller took care of us, and I guess that was our first big convention that we've kind of done together.
Yeah.
And how they showcased pickleball and how they brought in Jesse and I and put the court in the middle and had like everybody watching. We got to introduce pickleball. We got to show our craft. It was all a very cool experience.
Yeah, no, I think it was a home run for sure. And I'm pretty sure there was such high demand on the court. I think someone might have bought the court from the facility. They're gonna have to order another one from Pickle Roll. So.
And then also too, that was my first time seeing the Miller collaboration shoe with Skechers. Bill from Miller ended up giving me my shoes right before the convention, so I ended up putting them on. I was showing everybody my shoes and
limited edition,
looked super badass. It's got the splash out sole on the back. It says it's Miller time.
You got your Tyson McGuffin logo in the front.
It's got the logo on there.
Gold laces.
Right.
And the inside, the sole.
The inside, the sole had like a bunch of Miller cans.
Super cool.
Yeah, it's pretty badass.
Yeah, everybody was wanting those shoes, just like they wanted that court. It was pretty cool.
Right.
And there's also a signature, or not a signature paddle. I guess it's a Miller Lite Tyson McGuffin Selkirk collab padull.
Yeah, which is not too shabby either.
That actually may come out, yes.
But kudos to Miller. It's been a great partnership. During the Vegas event this last weekend, Miller was a big sponsor as well. So part of the deal was for me to rock the Miller collab shoes. So definitely wore those all weekend. And Miller did a little meet and greet collaboration with Skechers as well. And
that lady won. They flew her in. They set her up at the hotel. She came and we had like a little 30-minute.
She had the best
chat.
time. She was there with her daughter-in-law.
Brought her mother-in-law. Yeah, no, that was super fun. Fun to meet them and chat, and everybody was loving the shoes. And then I think even the hype guys got given like 4 pairs, and we weren't there for all of that because it all took place on center court. But I think they did like a sing off, a dance off, all for these Miller shoes. So there were people there that were like, what was the story?
There was a couple people that came to the Skechers booth that was offering because the Skechers reps that were there working the booth. We're obviously wearing the Miller collab shoes, and so there was people that were walking by that were offering like $500 to the Skechers
to
reps
buy them off
for those shoes.
It's too funny.
Kind of funny. Anyhow, so after Orlando, got some training in there for a couple days, and then we ended up taking the kids to Disney World. Actually, 6 weeks prior, we took the kids to Disneyland, so the kids got more than spoiled the last couple months. But
Bankies calls it Mickey's house.
Yeah, not gonna lie though. After doing Disney World and Disneyland, I think Disney World is our go-to option.
Yeah,
much more convenient. We ended up staying at the Contemporary Resort. There's like a tram that takes you from the resort all the way into Disney World. Very convenient.
Yeah, little pro tip too. I didn't realize this, but so we had planned. We checked into our Disney hotel. We planned to do Disney all day that first day. Ended up finding the pool, which was massive and fun. It had a slide and all this stuff. So ended up like hanging by the pool, and we kept saying, "Oh, soon we'll head over to the park. Soon we'll head over to the park." And then by the time we knew it, it was already like 2 or 3. Our kids are so tired.
So we ended up extending our stay.
Yeah, and then I was able to go to the front desk, and they'll actually, if you haven't gone or walked into the park, they'll actually let you transfer your tickets to a different day. So it was, if it's available. So it was super cool. It was super easy. Transferred our tickets over, and then we had to fly out late that next afternoon. But we ended up going to Disney in the morning. We just pushed our flights back a little bit.
Yep.
And then also Pegasus Luxury Rentals hooked us up with a...
Yeah, long story short,
super cool.
I met a guy through a guy, and apparently he was this guy's tennis coach. He now is a part of like a luxury car company based out of Florida.
Rental company, yeah.
Rental company, and so pretty cool. Like they offered us like a Bentley, not a Rolls Royce, a Ferrari, a Range Rover. Anyhow, a bunch of very expensive cars. We obviously had the children with us. We were not able to take
and
the
like
Bentley.
10 bags.
That was my first check. That was my first option.
Yeah, we definitely needed the Range Rover. That was.
But yeah, pretty cool. So we ended up like flying into Florida. Right when we come down the escalator into baggage claim, there's somebody standing there with a sign. It's got our name on it. They end up grabbing our bags. Totally pampered us.
Yep.
Took our bags out to the car. Somebody else drives up with the car.
They have the car right there.
They
pick you up,
load up the car with all of our bags. Give us the keys. We get in the front seat.
No, but
so
anybody,
James, thank you, brother.
Yeah, and anybody that hasn't checked out that kind of service, I was like shocked. I guess I've taken car service before, but we've never really looked into using it. So not only just car service, but also this like custom rental type stuff. And it's like so convenient, and the pricing is really not always that much different.
But Disney World, so we ended up staying at the resort. So, for anytime you eat, if you want to go to a select restaurant at the resort, all the characters are out there.
Character dining.
Emily
set us all up with that. That was her pro tips.
So we ended up going up there for lunch that very first day. Banks and Mac couldn't believe it. They ended up taking photos and getting to dance with all the characters.
Oh, yeah.
They were totally freaking out, and then that next day we ended up going to Disney World, cruised around, went on similar rides as we did in Disneyland.
Yeah, they actually have some of the exact same rides, and then they have a few different ones, but definitely did Lightning Pass, which is absolutely necessary, and it was so much hotter, or more, whatever, hot. It was super hot in Florida versus, and the day before when we didn't go to Disney, it actually rained, so we were lucky that we went on the day it didn't rain. I couldn't imagine like where you'd even go if it was pouring down rain. But anyways, super fun. And then hopped on our flight and flew
to Auburn, Alabama. Got to see our guy Rafa. Talk about one of the nicest guys in pickleball, I'll tell you what. Would do anything for his family. He's got a great setup there at his club. There in Auburn, Alabama. Works at a club called Moore's Mills.
All his members
love him. He uses all those
and
resources.
His family.
They totally take care of him. Super supportive of his family. Give him tickets to the Auburn football games. Anyhow, he's just got a great little setup there. Yeah. So Rafa's been wanting us to go down there forever. He's been kind of wanting to show off his setup and where he works and the family and all the above. And anyhow, just more than happy for him. And so I trained with Rafa for a couple days. We ended up going to an Auburn football game. One of Rafa's members, a guy named Tim, is an Auburn alum. He's got a little box and plays a huge role.
I think they fundraise for the university. I don't know if it's just for the sports program or if it's for all of it. But yeah, it's pretty cool work that they do there and raising money for the college.
Yeah. So anyhow, we ended up getting to go on the field. We got to be in a box on like the 50-yard line, food, booze, all taken care of. Ended up tailgating the couple hours before. Tailgating was wild. There was
a different world.
Yeah, there was college kids everywhere.
120,000 people tailgate or something, and only 90,000 go into the game.
Yeah. And there's plenty of people that just tailgate that, and it's crazy because the whole tailgating scene, like there's
it's like tent city.
It's like tent city. Like there's canopies. They have tables. Food is catered. They all have TVs and stuff. So like they're all watching.
Full bar, like couches,
decked out. Probably like half of the crew ends up not going into the game partying all day long, drinking, eating, Jello shots. It's insane. And they'll just watch the game from their
tent.
And they have their TV there. And so
Crazy.
funny. But diehard fans.
Yeah.
That was my first big college football game I've ever been to. I was totally blown away. I mean, that stadium holds like 90,000 people. The student section was like, I don't know, 30,000 or something like that. But it was insane. And that town is ran by college kids.
No, absolutely. Well, and it was so cool. Like, so we ended up going down on the field. Like, that was part of the really cool part of the experience. Got to see the players warming up, and
players are massive.
yeah, they're so big in
boys.
person. Jeez. And as we're down on the field, their kind of their opening ceremony, would you say, like after the national anthem. So they're the Tigers, but then they're also like, the whole War Eagle is part of their thing. I asked, and it's like, don't ask that question. But anyways.
It's the South, leave it.
So there was so they actually like have an eagle, and they like release her,
Right.
and she like swoops down toward the field and then swoops back up to her handler. But this particular time, everybody said, I don't know if they were just like making us feel good
She
or what.
swooped down
But
super low. We're all
came
like
right at Tyson's
trying
head.
to film it.
Oh
and
my
she was
God.
like 2 feet above our head. Came swooping down.
oh my gosh, yeah. So that was
Kids are going nuts.
Oh yeah, people are freaking out. So it was a cool experience to say the least. So super fun. Headed straight from Auburn. Afterwards, we headed to Atlanta.
Yep. A couple of Rafa's members, kind of funny. They have these little like cold plunges, like set up in their garage. Essentially, it's a cooler, or it's like a freezer.
It's a chest freezer, right?
Chest freezer made into a cold plunge, and battery operated, and they play your song, and there's like a little timer. And anyhow, it's kind of funny. A couple of his members all kind of have this same setup. So Rafa ended up like having me go to the member's house and use the plunge and all that. And it seems like Rafa's enjoying his plunging as well. And kind of funny. There's a video out there of Connor Garnett trying to jump in one of Rafa's members' plunges. And Connor is definitely not a fan of cold, and the look on Connor's face trying to get in that plunge, he looks scared shitless.
And we should preface this too, like these cold plunges.
These don't play. I mean,
No.
mine's at like 38 or 39. The guys in the South are freaking savages, man. They have
They're
their
like
plunges
icy.
at like 32 degrees,
Silly.
and most of them. It was actually my first time using gloves and toe blankets. Now I'm kind of stuck on using gloves and toe blankets. But anyhow, so usually they plunge for anywhere from like 4 to 5 minutes. It's at 32 degrees, and they have the system down. Funny. But anyhow, ended up going up to Atlanta after Auburn. It's about an hour and a half drive north. Got all checked into our hotel, got to hang out with my team for the week. We practiced essentially Wednesday through Thursday, got some team energy, or got some team chemistry going. We ended up practicing pretty much twice each day. Mary Brasha ended up having mono, poor thing, so she pulled out last minute. So we were kind of in a bind looking to find a replacement. So the weird thing about MLP is that obviously we're going to first start practicing with some players from Challengers. So we ended up practicing with Millie Rain. So she jumped in for like a day or two, practiced with us. And then Allison Harris had just played like the week before. She was very new. She was an alternate for MLP, wasn't drafted into Challengers. But the week before, played an APP event, ended up winning gold with Simone, ended up taking silver with Hunter Johnson. Anyhow, she had a ton of buzz about her. Johnny Goldberg, our GM. Our GM.
I think he was calling GM.
Yeah. Anyhow, so we ended up practicing with Allison for a couple days, and as a group, collectively, we all thought that Allison was going to be the best fit, and the tricky thing is that like the end. So when Challengers finishes on that Thursday, if anybody drops out, somebody gets sick, somebody gets injured, the Challengers get to choose first. And so here we are Thursday night,
crossing our fingers.
And I think we had our team dinner that night, or maybe it was Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so we're crossing our fingers because we're all set in stone on Allison Harris. We'd practiced together. We felt comfortable with her. I was going to play mixed with her. Fed was going to play mixed with Tyra. And anyhow, luckily in challengers, nobody got hurt. No
one needed an alternate.
No one needed an alternate. And so anyhow, so we ended up picking Allison. And it just that whole process is kind of tricky. Like,
not ideal.
No, it's not ideal at all. And it puts the premier teams kind of in a very tough spot. And it just comes to show too that obviously if one of your players don't come, you're at a huge disadvantage. And but anyhow, ended up playing the weekend. Our team did very well. We ended up taking top 4, made the semis, ended up taking second out of our pool. First match, we ended up playing Brooklyn Aces. And it was kind of funny because Fed and I, throughout the year, have always not been enemies, but have always obviously played each other. We've never been on the same side of the court. We've played each other a ton in singles. And obviously, I think over the last couple months, there's been a lot more respect towards each other. After this whole MLP event, I think we're total boys at heart now as well. And anyhow, so it was just good to like, and I think that's the beauty in MLP, right? Yeah. Maybe there's some tension with individual players on the PPA tour, but what MLP does is that it puts you in a position where you guys have to get along. You find some team camaraderie, and I think you can see like a new version kind of in each other to a certain degree. And anyhow, I think Fed and I definitely did that. He saw a different version of me. I saw a different version of him. And I think just as a unit, Fed and I were able to make it work. Even though I had been playing the left for the last 3 or 4 months with James, it didn't make sense for Fed and I for me to play the left. I think I have some more experience on the right, so we ended up making that work. So there's just a lot of variables that you kind of have to figure out, and team dynamic stuff that you have to figure out with MLP. And so anyhow, so Fed and I, we probably won half of our matches. We definitely. 2 of our matches, we had match points and ended up losing. And I can't tell you how many matches in MLP Atlanta that I had where I had match points and ended up not going my way. And I think if there's something I'm looking to be better on, it's both season 1 and season 2. Probably half of my matches, I've had looks at winning those games to 21. And things did not go my way, so I'm gonna look to be a little better late in those games of 21. Also, it just comes to show too that like anything can happen with that rally scoring format, and now with season 2, with there being no freeze, makes it that much more tricky. And it's just a freaking roll of the dice, I kid you not. And I mean, I've mentioned this before. If you're getting medals, or if you're in the category, if you're in the mix on the PPA tour, if you're in the top 5. And you're being successful, most of those players aren't a huge fan of MLP just because the scoring format is such an equalizer. Not using that as an excuse, but definitely plays a part. Anyhow, so in that very first match, Fed and I got a dub over Tyler and Hayden. Our females ended up losing, and then Tyra and Fed ended up winning their mix. Allison and I had, I don't know how many match points, probably 4 to 5 against Catherine and Tyler, ended up losing that. And then we ended up winning in a Dream Breaker. That was on championship court, and I can't tell you the difference from championship court to a side court. So that very next match, we ended up playing AZ Drive. We ended up playing AZ Drive on a side court. Played our first match at 10, played the AZ Drive at 2, and there was zero energy on those side courts. And I think the big difference with MLP Atlanta compared to other MLPs, take a look at San Clemente, take a look at Mesa, and you take a look at Daytona. Even on the side courts, like it was packed with energy. There was a ton of players there. So it just seemed like whether there was more space on championship court for fans to sit, or championship court just made sense for people to hang out, but there just wasn't a whole lot of spectators surrounding those side courts. And so that is my only knock with MLP Atlanta. Obviously, great venue, lifetime facility. The whole backdrop there on championship court looks gorgeous. But I don't know if the facility was too spread out. But anyhow, it just seemed like there was a lack of energy on those side courts. We ended up losing to AZ Drive. We ended up coming back the next day, getting a win over, who was that? Over Columbus. We played J-Dub's team, and Fed Night ended up getting a win in men's. Yep. So against Columbus on that Saturday, we ended up winning in a Dream Breaker. Fed Night ended up winning in men's. The girls won, and then Fed and Tyra won in mixed. So that put us into bracket play that night. Played in the quarterfinals, played the Chicago Slice. I can't tell you how much energy there was that Saturday night. Cowbells are flowing. The crowd is screaming, zero etiquette. Johnny Goldberg is running his mouth as always. Talk about a guy that you want on your team and the last guy that you don't want on your team. If you are playing Johnny Goldberg, you are definitely not a fan. He's in your face. He's talking trash. He's being loud as could be. And he plays that hype role very, very well.
Oh, yeah.
I think if there's one GM...
Smack talk, he's got it all.
No. And talk about a guy that gives zero, you know what, and will say whatever he wants. And anyhow, so that night, Johnny was on one. We're on one. We ended up, Fed Night ended up having, I don't know how many stupid match points against Eric and Ben. My wife damn near passed out in the crowd. I'm giving her a ton of anxiety because, we had 4 or 5 match points in that first one against Ben and Eric. Ended up losing that. And then Allison Harris and I, same thing. Ended up having, I don't know how many match points against Ben and Jesse. Choked that away. Luckily, I made up for it in that Dream Breaker. Ended up playing Benny 2015 and ended up beating Ben in that Dream Breaker. And that pushed us into Sunday. Sunday played DC pickleball team. It's a damn good team. Had to play K-Max team. And I would say, honestly, that's probably the most stacked team in MLP. I mean, having Christian and Riley and having the Kawamotos play together. The Kawamotos are probably a top 5 female team. They can also play some good mixed. Riley is a top 2, top 3 guy in mixed. Christian's probably a top 10 guy in mixed. And Christian's getting better at a rapid rate, as we all know. And they
have the best coach in pickleball, K-Mac.
And they may have the best coach in pickleball. Anyhow, we definitely got ran over. The girls lost. Fed Night ended up losing a tight one, 19-21. And then Allison and I got thrown out there and could not seal the deal against Christian and Kawamoto. So, but overall... good experience. The Miami Pickleball Club definitely showed up and showed out. The fans were awesome. The fans were electric. The team ownership group was super supportive. Jamie's actually from Atlanta. Jamie was one of the team owners, and Jamie showed up and showed out all weekend long, was super supportive. Jamie also played in the team owner tournament. I think he ended up making the finals.
Nice.
But overall, first event down. MLP
Dallas
was MLP LA. Now with MLP Dallas is coming up. That's our next event coming up here in a few weeks. The crummy thing is that we actually scheduled a camp on that Monday, Tuesday after MLP Atlanta. 64 campers signed up right away. This has happened a couple times with PPA. Obviously, it's not on MLP and it's not on PPA, but just the only tricky thing with partnering up with entities like that is when we put in our schedule that we're going to run a camp after an event and they obviously change locations, makes it a little tricky. So I have this scenario on my hands where I'm going to play MLP Dallas from Thursday through Sunday. I'm going to fly my ass to
quickly.
I guess I'm going to fly to Palm Springs now because the camp got moved because we couldn't find a facility there in LA, and I would assume why.
Well, it actually originally, remember, I think the event was in Palm Springs, and so, or maybe it was that Nationals was supposed to be there, and so everything got changed. Then I got changed to Thousand Oaks, and so we were trying to find something there, and then once it got changed to Dallas, we're like, oh my gosh, let's just leave it in Palm Springs. So we're going to, quick rush you back on Sunday. You're going to teach Monday, Tuesday, and then we're going to quick get you back Tuesday because you've got to play Nationals Wednesday.
See how I play Wednesday.
We
will see how I play Wednesday. Anyhow, not ideal, but we're staying true to our campers, and we're not moving the camp. We're not canceling. I'm just going to
making it happen.
I'm just going to suffer playing.
Yeah. But next year, I mean, I think the beauty of all of this, right, is that everybody's back together. It seems like they're working really hard and taking their time and getting this really dialed in for next year before they announce the schedule. Once we have that, we're making sure the things that you do now are only going to be in the venues that are concrete and set up and that are, tried and true, and we'll just get super dialed and organized. So a little bit of discomfort trying to figure this out for the end of the year, but I think next year is going to be so much better that it'll be worth it. We just gotta get past the next few months.
MLP over-delivered as always. The hospitality, the food, the service, the scheduling, everything's spot on. Anyhow, appreciate what MLP does for pickleball.
Yep.
And just like what my wife had just mentioned, glad that we're all back together. We're all one happy family. That's what the fans want. Everybody wins. Yes, some players are a little upset about signing too early, stuff like that. My whole view on that, my whole vision is that I think we're all in a much better place now than how we were previously. Guarantee goes through 2026 versus 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think all in all, it doesn't matter who you are, what you got. I think at the end of the day, we all have to step back and say, that's money in our pockets that would have never come for any other reason. So, whether it's not as much or it's more than or whatever, had you not done it at all or had this not taken place, I mean, it would be a much different perspective. We were kind of chatting about it. It's like being upset that you didn't come up with the next invention or the iPhone or like you didn't buy Bitcoin at the right time, and things like that. Like overall, it's, shoulda, coulda, woulda. But in the same sense, like chain of events had to take place in the orders that they did, or maybe the whole thing didn't happen. So at the end of the day, just moving forward, I think all of us just have to be happy with what we received and how it took place and know that everybody's in such a better spot. And I think it doesn't matter whether you got 100 or whether you got 300 or whatever. I think at the end of the day, I know for us, like looking back at our journey and like how hard we like worked and just how hard or the chances we took and our own money that we put into like your social media and all the things that like building a team and trying to have really good content and building the YouTube channel and filming the videos and all of that stuff, I see this now as like, regardless of how much money you got, that's money for for everybody, seed money that they can go out now and build their brands and build their content and, really try to like set themselves up so that then they can bring in brand endorsements and they can be set up past, because this money is not lasting forever, right? This was just to kind of attain players. It was to get the whole tour thing figured out. And so moving forward, there'll be some money in the sport for sure. But I think if players are smart, they're going to utilize some of this to start building their brands and capitalizing for the future. And I think regardless of the amount that you got, it's going to be plenty to do that. And I know that looking back, gosh, if we would have been handed that, I mean, I could only imagine where we could be right now, like with our branding and stuff. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see players' brands grow. I'm excited to see people step out and whatever they have to offer, give back to the sport. I think, only up from here.
Well, definitely equals the playing field too. I mean, now players can train full time.
Right.
They can, they can wrap themselves around good people. They can use resources, body work, trainers, coaches. They
recovery.
They have a little extra dough now. So definitely invest your money the right way. Now's the time, because come 2026, or I guess come 2027. If there's not another push to get more guarantee, then come 2027. If you're not winning, or if you don't have brand endorsements, or if you don't have other sources of revenue through content, brand endorsements, or prize money, there's not much there.
Right.
And
pickleball only just got way more attractive to every other athlete out there, because there's so many sports today that there is no guarantee. There is no appearance fee. If there is, it's only it's top heavy, And so I think other athletes looking at this are like, oh my gosh, like I could just be a whatever level competitor and I can actually earn an income. And if I work hard at this, I could maybe really grow a brand and do well in the sport. So I think there's only more talent that's going to be coming in to the game. So I think even more of a reason why every player that has worked their butts off or that has been here for the last few years or more, like time is now. build your brand, like get yourself out there, spend the money wisely, all the above, set yourself up for next year. Yeah.
And it seems like the blueprint right now is, going YouTube, podcasts, educational videos, newsletter, and something we're going to be doing differently come 2024 is I felt like, we've really grown on the content side, and we have Cooper, who's our social media strategist. We have our editor. I guess we use a couple of different people. Craig obviously plays a big part in that now too, but obviously we've grown the podcast. We have the educational videos. We're going to start filming some more. We have the newsletter, but something that most players are not doing in pickleball is that intimate look at vlogs. And I think come 2024, we're looking to really build your brand. We're looking to build the kids' brands, and we're looking to have really somebody on the road with us full time.
Yeah. We've dipped our toe in the water a few times.
Yeah, but
we've had
but we're not doing it the right way.
Right, exactly.
So most of the focus come 2024 is going to be, I guess, less stuff on socials and more focus around the look into our family, us traveling around, what it's like traveling around with the kids. A more, I guess, like a deeper look on our marriage, how we work and stuff like that. Anyhow, just more lifestyle and a little less pickle.
Well, yeah, and what a cool story to tell, just like there's a few documentaries in the works right now that I think a couple probably will come out soon. And the same thing, like we're part of the very infant, like emerging sport. I mean, you've been in it now for 8 years, and before there was tour and all of that. And so everything around us is just going at such a rapid pace. Right. And gosh, I mean, look, it's even been a month since we've been able to film a pod, which we're going to get better about that too. Yeah. But this will just be an ongoing look of what it really is like and what it's going. And if anything, it's just documenting our story that, all the crazy stuff that's happening and taking place around us, and the way our kids get to grow up.
And the babies need to be seen.
Yeah, and how just appreciative we are to all the fans out there, all the spectators, everybody that's given to this sport, and like we want to give back in every way that we can. So I think letting people in and letting them see is only just another degree of it, another spot of it. So
right, for sure. Just want to touch on MLP and some of my teammates. So Tyra, that's the first time that I've obviously, I guess, get to kind of see Tyra up and close. Obviously, the week before or a few weeks before, I ended up playing Tyra and Rafa in Cincinnati. They ended up beating Catherine and I. But talk about a girl who, honestly, is probably the most physical female on tour. She has one of the quickest first steps. She's got heavy hands. I think talking to Tyra, it sounds like James Ignatovich has kind of been in her corner and has been helping her out just with her game and kind of how she sees the game and stuff like that. And what is crazy is that I told a bunch of people this, is that Tyra, she's very limited. I mean, she's fast, she's scrappy, she's got a decent drop. She hits the living life out of her serve and her drive. And she really doesn't know how to dink. I mean, talk about a girl who doesn't have much purpose with her dinking and honestly pops up dinks and just trusts that her hands can clean stuff up. Once she starts recognizing or just being more aware on how to hit more linear dinks, how to be more aggressive off the bounce, how to create more, I mean, she's going to be scary good. I mean, she's already top 10 good, and I feel like she doesn't have a whole lot of thought process when it comes to dinking. Like there's not a whole lot of purpose like behind her dinking. So she's got a long ways to go, and she's already damn good. So talk about a girl who I think in the next year or so it's going to skyrocket. She's obviously in a very good group there in Boca. Seems like most players in Boca are getting better quickly. And anyhow, the girl is sounds like she's doing everything right too. Like she disciplined, she's around the right group, she trains the right way, comes from tennis, and she's about as greedy as they come. So I was super impressed with Tyra. Also, Fed. I mean, last year Fed in doubles. Obviously he's always been there in singles, but in doubles last year you can kind of pick him apart head to head. He didn't have all that. He didn't have heavy hands. He mainly played the right. He was kind of more of the setup guy, and a total transformation this year. The guy has put in the work. He's doing things the right way. I was talking to his girlfriend there in Atlanta, and the man is very, very disciplined as well. Doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, trains the right way, eats the right way, does the body work, is doing IVs now, and something like you got to respect, and something I truly respect is players that do it the right way. And you can totally see Fed's transformation. The hands have gotten heavier. He's also using the Scorpius, which I think has definitely helped his hands. He's using the 14 mil. He's able to create more. He's dinking a lot more consistently. He's got a lot more faith and trust in his game. Deep in games, I feel like the level is always there as well. Like he's not known to choke, and like when his back's against the wall, usually he can bring the goods. And Fed and Pablo have played the Johns boys very tight this year. Anyhow, just talk about a guy who lives in Florida and is training the right way, and it's gotten a lot better. So, it was cool getting to see it up and close. Obviously, being on his team, and overall, Fed's a stellar guy too. Okay, after Atlanta, we ended up coming home for a couple days, and then I had the opportunity.
A day and a half.
for like a day and a half. I ended up getting the opportunity to throw out the first pitch for the Mariners. Kind of cool. Grew up a PNW kid from the Pacific Northwest, from Lake Chelan, Washington. Grew up a Mariners, then a Seahawk fan. And I had people there from all different chapters in my life. Hometown, Lake Chelan, Central Washington. People from Yakima, Washington, the first real tennis job that I had in Central Washington. Actually have some very cool history there in Yakima. Ended up winning a couple of state titles on championship court my junior, senior year. So people from Chelan, people from Yakima, Spokane, Coeur d'Alene, Seattle. I mean, I just so much support, a ton of family, and people that I hadn't seen for a very, very long time. And also what's kind of cool is that the Seattle Metro Pickleball Association ended up selling out 1,500 tickets. So the game was at 4. My first pitch was at 3:50. So from 2 to 3:30 on the rooftop there at the stadium, we ended up doing a meet and greet. And I mean, it seemed like there was a freaking 1,000 people up there. It was packed. Yeah. Smashing Millers. Fans are getting rowdy. I can't tell you how many dudes I saw with white and pink Viper Core Pros, mullets, mustache, tats. Anyhow, so I mean, I probably could have signed autographs for hours. 2 to 3:30. I only got through like 20% of the line. Took me way too long. I was talking to each person for a couple minutes when it should have only been like 30 seconds. So tried to push through that. And literally, I was signing autographs for like an hour and a half. Next thing I know, at 3:30, they're just punting me down to the field, telling me.
We felt so bad. There was such a line. I mean, there probably was at least 200-300 people maybe still in that line for autographs and pictures, and we had to like rush down to the field, and so it was super sad. We felt bad. I think that's the first time that we haven't like been able to, because if you could have, you would have just stayed there and we would have done it. But we had to run down, throw the pitch, and then everything had to be disbanded right after that, but that was super fun. Got to bring Sky and Ty.
Got to bring the boys down. Those are memories
they
always have.
They loved
it. But yeah, kind of cool. So as you go down, they end up like giving you the ball, and the ball is wrapped up in
tissue paper,
and they pull it out, give it to you, and then do your little bio, and then tell you to go out there. So I walked out there. Ty and Sky are going crazy. Throughout the first pitch, it was definitely more like a third chop drop than it was a third ball drive. It's my second time doing it. You're usually better off missing high than you are missing short. Even though all publicity is good publicity, I did not embarrass myself. Ended up making it home. Crowd went crazy, took some photos, and then basically throughout the whole game, got more than hammered. Had my whole crew there smashing beers.
Seattle has some of the
food.
best food at their ballpark. Oh my gosh, sushi. I don't know. garlic fries.
Yeah.
I mean, anything you could think of, not traditional like nachos and popcorn. I mean, they have that stuff too, but
Right.
super good.
And the Mariners were in the playoff contention. They need to win that night. They need to beat the Texas Rangers in order to make it to the playoffs.
So it was sold out.
It was
40,000
sold out,
people.
45,000 people.
Yeah.
When I threw out the first pitch for the Arizona Diamondbacks, there was only like 20% of the people in the stands, so it definitely wasn't all that packed. So this time it was a packed house, and no, fun experience that I will remember for a long time now. And obviously, being a PNW kid, it was a huge honor. And I don't know, yeah, just getting to see people from like different aspects of my life and seeing all the support.
Meant a lot.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, obviously having the kids there, and I hadn't seen my dad's side of the family in a very long time. They hadn't seen me for, I don't know, like a year or so. So getting to see all them, having them stay at the house. We ended up going out that night. Went to a little nightclub called Q, got a table, may have got a couple bottles, spent a little money, and anyhow, wild out. And I don't know, it was way too cool.
No, it was fun.
Let's see. And then directly after that, flew to Vegas, practiced in Vegas Monday through Wednesday. Played singles Thursday. Not going to lie, did not have it this last week. I felt like in the month of June, played red hot. In the month of August, played red hot. And not going to lie, I don't know. I think mentally going in, I was a little burnt out, and body didn't feel all that good. I kind of crammed Monday through Wednesday. I played twice on Monday, played twice on Tuesday, played twice on Wednesday. I'm not going to lie, I was sore as hell over the weekend. Body had a hard time recovering. Took the week before off, which was a bad idea. I have no business taking a week off like that, and I totally paid in Vegas. So something that I'm going to do better at is not taking that week off, because not only was I fighting, or I guess was I lacking
touches
physically. I like my body felt grinded down, but also just mentally, I felt like I wasn't all that comfortable, and I wasn't seeing the ball all that big, and anyhow, I was just kind of lacking focus, lacking confidence. So did not play my best self, or did not have my best stuff in singles. Ended up taking losing in the quarters of singles. Played J-Dub and got royally beat up. Lost like 6-4. Definitely one of those matches where I'm trying to get off the court as quickly as possible. Couldn't get a return past the transition zone. Had a hard time banging the serve. J-Dub played well. I think he's playing with that new Franklin Carbon, so it looks like he was just shaping the ball better. He was getting a lot more depth on his return. And I have no business losing in that fashion to that man. Obviously, he's talented. He had himself a good weekend, but losing 6-4 is just definitely not like me. Showed up the next day in mix. Didn't play all that great. Catherine and I ended up losing to Thomas, and Vivian ended up losing in the quarters. Same thing. Level was kind of all over the map, and that was the story of the weekend. Like, the level was halfway decent throughout the day, and then all of a sudden, next thing I knew, I'm making routine errors. I'm like second guessing myself in certain areas where I'm super comfortable, but for some reason over the weekend I wasn't all that comfortable. And anyhow, so it just comes to show that that's the beauty of sports, is some days you have it, some days you don't. And I think with taking a week off, I definitely paid. On that Saturday, played with my guy H. Didn't play much better either. It was definitely fun playing with Hayden, and talk about a kid who's super talented, 17 years old, probably one of the swaggiest 17-year-olds that you will ever meet. He's got a lot of upside, and I ended up playing the left. He played the right. We beat the teams that we should have. Ended up losing to Ben and Colin in the quarters, and lost like 6-6. Made something of the match. It was somewhat respectable, but that's a damn good team. And we ended up beating Loong and Lang in the round of 16, beat him in 3, and just could not do it against the Johns. And I'll tell you what Ben and Colin did on Sunday, down 0-2, didn't look did mix dinks. It seemed like Colin kind of early on was missing like routine stuff. He wasn't dropping all that well. Didn't look good in transition. His usual scrappy defensive self, it didn't seem like he was up to par. And then that's the beauty of the Johns. They're able to flip the switch, find a different gear. Not too many teams can do that. Down 0-2, all the pressure's on them. It seemed like early on, J-Dub and Dylan were winning all the hand battles. And they were speeding up early. They were speeding up off the bounce. And something that J-Dub is doing much differently these days is that he's using his forehand more. He's not being so stationary on the left. He's running around. He's finding more options with his forehand. He's dinking inside out. And he's just looking to create more off the bounce. And I kid you not, that was the scariest that I've seen J-Dub when he's not so one-dimensional, when he can mix things up and he can bring the offense off the bounce. He has not been doing that at all for the last couple of years, and he's still been like a top 4, top 5 guy without offense off the bounce. And I think we saw a whole new version of J-Dub this last weekend. Obviously, Dylan played well, was able to match Ben head-to-head. And anyhow, how the Johns were able to scrap back, find a way, dig and claw, and win it in 5. That team is damn good.
Surgical. That's what you said.
Surgical. Catherine and Annalise, same thing. Lose game 1, or down 6-0 game 2. And that's what great teams do. Go back to the drawing board, find a way. And they ended up winning in 4 when Callie and Lucy looked very good those first 2 games. And also it comes to show that it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish, right? James apparently got hurt. His ankle got hurt when he was playing men's with Matt Wright. They were playing DJ and Deckel. They ended up winning 10-10. After that match, he ended up withdrawing from the semis. He obviously didn't play in the mixed final either. Anyhow, so very good weekend. Just the only thing about the Vegas tournament was that, I'm not going to lie, just with how far Championship Court was away from the stands, or just the distance from the fans and Championship Court, there was a lack of energy. I think the hype guys were definitely having a hard time hyping up the crowd. They were having a hard time pumping energy into the crowd, and it just seemed like it was dead pretty much all weekend. Also, not going to knock on PPA, but PPA, do they usually charge for? Yeah,
they do. I think just with that center court being so massive, it was just hard. I don't know. I guess I don't know exactly, but it seems like, so take Kansas City, for instance, like that center court, there wasn't as much seating, so it was super, super packed.
Do they usually charge for seating though?
Always? Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. For courtside, for championship court. They don't, I think the grounds pass gets you everywhere else, but yeah, they absolutely do. And that's why you have wristbands, and they check your wristband as you're coming into center court. Because they only have X amount of seats. I think part of it too, I don't know. Maybe I'm just assuming here, but Huntsman Games I think is coming up, and so I wonder if a lot of people that would have normally come, attended, played amateurs, and maybe been there to spectate were like on their way or already in Utah. So I think it was probably just kind of inopportune time.
And even like the amateurs, like it seemed like every day the amateurs were done by 3 or 4, and there was like open courts all over. Yeah. I don't know if it was how spread the venue was, or like the Huntsman Games. But anyhow, it just seemed like there was a lack of energy on Championship Court. There wasn't a whole lot of amateurs playing. It seemed like there was like 1,000 players signed up. But usually amateurs play till 8 o'clock at night, you know.
Yeah.
8 or 9 o'clock at night. And anyhow, love us in Vegas. It was our anniversary week.
We forgot.
We ended up having ourselves a championship Sunday on that Saturday night. Mm-hmm. But we ended up going out to dinner a couple times.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we were teaching the kids clinic. I was setting up. You were grabbing lunch real quick because you had a full day of practice, and then you were straight into the kids clinic. So you and Craig were grabbing lunch, and Sue actually texted me, "Hey, congrats! Like, happy anniversary!" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it's our anniversary!" Totally, we both kind of forgot.
Daddy
so yeah. So then I text you. Your phone was dead. So then after the kids clinic, before the Miller clinic, I'm like, "Do you know what today is?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, our anniversary." So yeah, too funny. But anyways, had fun celebrating with everybody. Went out. We actually went out to a little nightclub, and when we walked
Small
in.
nightclub.
Yeah. When we walked in, it was pretty fun. They had our photos up top and it said like happy 4-year Megan Tyson. So it was cute. So it was nice, and we had really good food. That's one thing about Vegas. Like even if you don't we don't gamble. We don't really do a lot of the other things.
we
but
ate
like,
ourselves through most of those restaurants.
The food is so good.
Momofuku, place called Kumi, place called Lava, Zuma was that last
Zuma,
night.
yum. All the food is so good. Yeah. You could just eat the whole time we're there. But anyways, super fun trip. Definitely glad to be home though, and ramping up for everything that's ahead of us. We're gonna have some busy weeks ahead.
Let's see here. K-Max running a camp right now in Vegas. Monday, Tuesday, he had 32 campers. I think the next camp we have coming up is actually Kyle's teaching a camp in Boca next week. There was supposed to be a tournament in Boca.
Yeah, it got pulled. So
it got pulled. But you know us, we stay true.
We had so many campers signed up. We didn't want to leave everybody stranded there. So Kyle's still going to be teaching, and we're going to be teaching at the Lifetime facility. And there might even be a few slots left open for that. But look forward to that. It seems like there's high demand there. So happy to have camp.
But yeah, we're back home now, back in routine. I'm back training all week. Have a couple guys flying in tomorrow to come train for a week, and then come next week we're off to Miami. Actually, I got offered to be the guest at the Live golf event. Long story short, but Bubba Watson's manager, or one of Bubba Watson's people on his team, I went to high school with. Her name's Kelly Bowers. She also played golf in college. I believe she played golf at University of Washington. So we got asked to kind of do a collaborative thing with Bubba. He's going to play some pickle. I'm gonna play some golf. So on that Wednesday, I'm going to play a couple holes of golf with him. He's going to play some pickle that night. True story. He actually asked me to play in the Pro-Am on that Thursday with him. I told him that's completely out of my league. The last Pro-Am I was involved with was waste management. I didn't play at all, but I got to walk the course with Ricky Fowler and Michael Phelps, and just getting to see some of the celebrities or some of the players play with professional golfers.
Their level.
Taking a look at their golf game. Those guys play golf.
I feel it's
I
like
do not play
semi-pro.
golf, nor do I have enough time. Something that
One day.
Yeah, something I would love to do, though, obviously, because Coeur d'Alene's a big golf area, is get myself involved in golf. Once I'm all said and done. Yeah. But anyhow, we're flying to Miami. Going to be a special event. We also are doing, or I guess we're inviting our Miami Pickleball Club MLP team as well. Yeah. They're at the Live event. They're setting up a pickleball court right in Vendor Village, like right in the center. So I'm going to be doing a meet and greet. I'll be doing that stuff with Bubba Watson. Also, our team's going to come in. We're going to do
pro exhibition.
We're going to do a little pro exhibition in front of some of the golf guests. Yeah. And we have VIP access pretty much all weekend to the golf event. Yep. There's DJs playing at night, Saturday, Sunday. You better believe you'll see us there in the evening, balling out, having some fun.
No, it'll be a super fun event, and it'll be just super productive too. Since you guys got a bunch of days of team practice, and it just worked out perfectly. So
yeah. Also, you better believe that when we fly into Miami, that Pegasus luxury rental is going to be picking us up, taking care of our bags, and we're going to be hopping in a brand new whip.
Excited.
But anyhow, appreciate you guys. I know it's been too long. We're going to try to
be more consistent.
Maybe do more pods on the road, or simply just find a better way to schedule these things, because we are way too busy in life. But appreciate you guys. My name is Tyson McGuffin. This is the McGuffin Show. We will see you next time.
All right.
Bam.
Out.